This is the first time that I've interviewed a 16-year-old author. Austin Gutwein is the author of this book, Take Your Best Shot. And as Max Lucado says on the cover, this story deserves a wide hearing. Well, we're going to give it as wide a hearing as we can here on 100 Hunting Street. Welcome, Austin.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You have a very unique story. I mean, how many kids do you know at age 9 started an international phenomenon? I mean, you got to be pretty unique, huh?
You know, I honestly, Jim, just feel very humbled to be used by God. And I think that there are definitely a lot of kids out there that have something in them to make a difference in the world.
Now, the difference that you've made is that you have an international corporation, really, going now, that is supporting children orphaned by AIDS in Zambia. And it all began with you at age 9 watching a World Vision promotion on a little girl named Maggie. Tell me the story.
Yeah, when I was 9 years old, we had been sponsoring 2 kids through World Vision, and they sent us this video talking about a girl named Maggie, as you had said. She lived over in Zambia, and I was 9. I didn't know what AIDS was, but I saw this video talking about how she had lost her parents due to AIDS, and I just thought I couldn't imagine living life without my parents. I knew I just wanted to do something to help this little girl.
So you went with your dad and talked to one of the leaders of World Vision in the Phoenix area? Was it in the Phoenix area?
Yeah, and he actually put me in touch with a guy up in Seattle.
Right, and one thing led to another. They didn't really expect to hear much from you. I mean, you know, this 9-year-old kid, he's touched by this story, he wants to do something. Well, you know. And so this one guy says to you, well, what do you like to do? And you said?
I said, I love to play basketball.
And then he said?
And he basically said, you know, Austin, why don't you use basketball to go out and make a difference?
Now, did the idea of Hoops of Hope emerge right at that point?
Yeah, it really did. Just, you know, I had heard about walkathons before, and I realized that, you know, I wanted to shoot hoops to help AIDS orphans, and why not, you know, use that same kind of idea of just going out and raising money, saying I'm doing a marathon for these kids, and use that to make a difference as well.
So how did you start?
You know, I started by going around to my friends and my family and asking them to donate and sponsor me to shoot my hoops, and then I went out and shot 2,057 when I was 10 to represent the 2,057 kids who'd be orphaned because of AIDS during my school day.
That's right. And that's just about right. During your school day, that would be just about right. Now, I don't know if even a professional basketball player has ever set out to shoot over 2,000 hoops nonstop. Your arm must have felt like it was falling off.
You know, honestly, my arm didn't feel like it was falling off. It was kind of numb by the end. I was just flopping around.
And how many of your friends and family came to watch you that first time?
Oh, I probably had 20 of my friends and family watching me that first time, and then by the end of the day, I had a bunch of my schoolmates that had come down to support me as well.
And you had enlisted them as sponsors of this event, right?
Yes.
And so how much did you raise that first time?
That first year, I raised about $3,000.
Wow. Now, things began to take off when the press heard about this little 10-year-old kid shooting hoops, right?
Yes.
Were you surprised by the fame that suddenly came upon you as a little guy?
You know, at first it was kind of like, oh, this is pretty interesting, and God just really blew it up. And now we've had about 40,000 kids in 20 different countries that have participated, and we're just thankful because really God has just used this simple idea for kids to shoot hoops to touch thousands of lives over in Africa.
You mentioned 20 countries. Give me just a list of some of those countries, not all of them, but what would some of those countries be?
Yeah, we have a lot of countries actually in Europe, Luxembourg, France, England, kids shooting hoops. We have a couple kids that have done their events here in Canada, as well as we actually had an orphanage in Nigeria who did Hoops of Hope. Yeah, I thought that was so cool. They had heard about it, and you know, we actually took a look at their website, and this orphanage has needs for, you know, kids to have new mattresses, and this whole new orphanage for another 50 orphans. But you know, the man in charge wrote us and said that his kids found out about the kids down in Zambia, and they realized that they wanted to do something to help other orphans who weren't as fortunate.
And you've been to Zambia, of course, with your dad, right?
Yes, with my whole family.
With your whole family? How many times have you gone?
4 times
4
now.
times. And what part of Zambia are you working in?
We work primarily down the southern part of Zambia.
Which is pretty desolate.
Yes, it is. It's definitely out in the bush, as we would say.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, I've been there many times. So that's really remarkable. Why did you choose there?
We found out from World Vision that there was a need initially there for a school, and that's what we wanted to do. And then later, we found out that because of AIDS, actually, the life expectancy in Zambia is 35.
Yeah, it's astonishing. And it must have really impacted you. Well, in fact, you talk about it in the book, that the impact it had on you initially when you saw kids your own age, often little girls, who are having to basically care for their siblings and be the wage earner and the adult in their home because their parents were dead. And these were what we call child-headed households. I mean, that must have just blown you away.
Yeah, definitely that very first time seeing kids who, had a baby brother on their back, it was amazing to me because, I have a younger sister, she's 14, and I could imagine raising her, let alone being in Africa and having to raise 3, sometimes 5 more kids like, these kids are having to do. And we've had a chance where we've met kids that are 9 years old raising their brothers and sisters. And that's something that's amazing. It's a problem that definitely needs our help.
I was interested as I read your book that it was a little girl who impacted your life. As you've noticed in Zambia, and it's true in other parts of Africa too, the little girls never play. Like they start working as soon as they can walk, it seems.
Right.
And as you say, you sometimes see 4 and 5 and 6-year-old girls carrying infants on their backs. The boys are allowed to play. The problem is they don't have much to play with, right?
That's so true. A lot of these kids over there. I realized the very first time that I came back from Zambia, I was like, holy cow, I have an Xbox. That's kind of remarkable to me. But because these kids, they basically have nothing, but yet they're so content with what they have, and that's a new perspective.
Yeah, isn't that true, huh?